going on? Welcome to the DMV show. As always, I'm your host Geo. With me, my co-host, Mr. Noah Walker. How you doing, buddy?
Awesome. Happy holiday and return to the holiday for a lot of people out there. It's been, for some, a holiday weekend and a kind of a departure from our normal soccer schedule. So we're here to bring you back into the DMV soccer obsession that many of us have found.
Yeah, I mean, we were a little slow, but soccer did not stop. There was a lot going on from the Gold Cup to UPSL matches, but we're here to talk about everything. We're going to talk about Noah. Can you run us down what we're going to talk about?
Would love to. Yeah, we're going to talk first about the NPSL coming playoffs in the Mid Atlantic Conference. We have a Tuesday matchup. Bristosi hosting the Alexandria Reds up there at Mustang Stadium. And Wednesday, we'll see the number one seed, Virginia Dream, hosting Grove up from Richmond. DMV Sports Media is proud to bring both those matches to you live. So we'll preview those matchups and then talk about the path forward, potential National Cup run for one of those four teams. We will be discussing the Super League promotion match this coming Sunday between Baltimore City FC and Dutch Kings and the implications of promotion match, of course, the future of the Super League. We'll briefly mention the Super Cup, the Virginia Super League final, Virginia Dream, Los Toros on Thursday. It's a busy week for Virginia Dream. And obviously the path forward for the winner of that match and, their coming match with Steel Pulse for the overall Super Cup championship. And then outside of that, we have an exciting opportunity to discuss and tease out the Summer Copa. It's the return of the gold and silver Copa. It's a collaboration effect, a group between Super League, American Premier League, the DC Premier League, and their various conferences. And it's really an effort to put together the best teams, or rather the best available teams in this summer to compete outside of your normal league in a Champions League style format, group play, knockout stages. We're not going to be able to release the full groups, but we are going to be able to tease out kind of what the structure of the league, the tournament will look at like, and then maybe tease out our potential favorites for the tournament, although it's way too early to get into everything specifically. But lots to look forward to today in a shorter kind of format.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be. It's gonna be. Hey, Peter, how's it going, buddy? Everyone that's tuning in, before we dive into everything, do make sure you hit the subscribe, like, comment, and definitely engage in the chat. We love when you guys engage in the chat, and we try to get to you as much as possible. But
Yes.
as Noah stated, there's a lot to get through, and not too much time for us today. So we're gonna try to get right into it. We're gonna start with, I think, what Noah would say is the most pressing, which is the NPSL playoffs. Uh, for those that don't know, congratulations to Ristosi and Dreams for ending 1-2. That means they host. Ristosi will be hosting Alexandria Red, as Noah said, on July 8th, and Virginia Dreams will be hosting Grove United on July 9th. Let's start with Ristosi because that's tomorrow.
Got you.
What is your expectation for this match?
Yeah, so it's Ristosi is the higher seed, right? And they're hosting, but they're the newcomer to this NPSL conference. They're a team that really grew about as organically as you can. They started in Division II of the amateur leagues, which we have a closer insight into them. They came up through the Super League, through Maryland Division II. Fought their way and earned their way into Division I. They were competing with the big boys, and they made playoffs in both of their seasons in Division I before making the decision that, based on the young college age of their players, that NPSL was a logical fit. They had the resources and the vision, but they didn't jump right into NPSL. And that's the big thing that I just, not to go on a little aside, a little tangent here, but that's the mistake that I do see a lot of teams. Just because you have the money or you think you have the player resources, don't jump right in. If you're really sure, it should be no doubt. But otherwise, there's lots of great competition at the amateur leagues, and you don't have to throw away your money on fire. Come play, contest yourself, and then you're ready. And teams will take you more seriously because you actually have done something. Ristosi, they earned their way. And it's about as much as you can have promotion relegation in this hellscape of a soccer environment that is the U.S. They kind of earned their own promotion. And look at them now. They're hosting their own NPSL Mid-Atlantic Conference semifinal against the Reds, who have been in the playoffs in the NPSL ever since they made their way up. They're a massive youth organization, the ASA, Alexandria Soccer Association. So they've got a massive resource of players to draw upon. They're the lower seed. They have to play away, but do not count out Alexandria Reds and the talent pool that they have. Mudiaga Jaga has been a standout center back for the Reds throughout. They've got a committee of goalkeepers that have, performed really at a high level, and a really strong front three. So this is going to be an exciting matchup to watch. Of course, I had to bet my house on something, I'm going for Ristosi, just based on what they've been able to do, the fact that they're hosting at Mustang Stadium, Stevenson University. But this is must-watch TV.
Yeah, I mean, these two teams only played each other once this season. It was a 2-0 win for Ristosi on the road, which was a huge win for them. I think came at a time when Ristosi had just, it was either right before or right after their loss against Virginia Dreams, and it was a good moment for them. But players to look out for, obviously, Petty. Petty's been on fire for Ristosi. From his hat trick to like just ever since he joined the squad, he's putting goals in. But then you have Taishi Davis, who is phenomenal player. I mean, um, Toga Katsuzuma, who's probably had my favorite goal of the season. Uh, you know, Peter Gonzago. The list goes on and on and on and on for this squad. So, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to go against Ristosi given their performance, given how their first year has gone. But the playoffs tend to add a little bit of a pressure that if you're not used to, it's a little uncomfortable. Um, Mistakes weigh a little bit heavier. Decisions are a little bit more crucial to the match. So it's just things to watch out for. Alexandria Reds is comfortable. They've been doing this. Obviously, it hasn't gone their way yet, but this could be their year. So just to watch out for. But I think Ristosi is going through. I think Ristosi will be um, in that final.
And just a slight correction, I think I'm 99% sure that Alexandria Reds, I think in one of the maybe 4 seasons ago, they were the Mid Atlantic Conference champions. I remember that they advanced and played 51st State from Delaware in
Oh,
the
you're right.
national circuit. Yeah, I had the privilege of
You're right.
covering that game in the early DMV sports media days, and so they have actually had a conference title, but they've taken on the Blues in a couple of seasons and had some classic matchups in the playoffs. So they're a proven entity. This is going to be a really good matchup to watch.
And then the other side, you have Virginia Dreams hosting Grove United. Grove kind of being the one team for me that's like kind of a surprise sometimes. Like you don't really know what you're gonna get with them, and sometimes they come out and absolutely ball out, and sometimes they fall a little bit short. So that's a team to watch out for. Noah, what do you think? What are you thinking about this game?
We talk about a lot about the dark horse team, the dark horse candidate. That's Grove. I hope Lucas, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but I had a chance to speak to Lucas Mendez of Virginia Dream, and he was saying, like, I kind of hope that it's not Grove because they're so unpredictable. Yeah, we've seen some poor performances at times from Grove, right? But they're there in the playoffs for a reason. At their best, Grove is a team that has some real players in their stable, and playoffs is a time where it's win and advance. And even though they're on the road, right? There's something that they're hard to play against because they're hard to prepare for. You don't know what you're going to get. Whereas I think a team like Dream would, of course, favor themselves against tough teams like maybe for example, Reds, teams that are consistent, but what you're preparing for tactical wise.
Yeah.
This one is one that obviously could go either way. I mean, Dream may just steamroll Grove, but it could go a different kind of way. So um, I know that that's not really shedding any real light on my expectations for what will happen, but just watch out for Grove and see what squad they bring and how the early parts of that game go. I think that'll be telling for the eventual result.
Well, I'll say this. Virginia Dreams and Grove have met twice this year. One went 4-1 for Virginia Dreams. The other went 5-1 for Virginia Dreams. But the fact that Lucas is saying that it puts a little bit of pause to what this game could be. Because I mean, Grove has had some really good matches, specifically against Ristosi, right? Them being the only team aside from Virginia Dreams giving Ristosi a loss. But then they go 2 games after that and lose to FC Frederick, who, for lack of a better term, has had a really rough season. So this team is so unpredictable. So to see what they'll do or what they'll bring is so exciting to see. And Virginia isn't in the best moment right now, right? Dreams is just got knocked out of UPSL um not too long ago. So they're probably not happy. So they're gonna come with a renewed focus, and then not to mention they also have to think about the Virginia Super Cup, which we'll talk about here shortly. So Grove could be finding Virginia in a position that I don't want to say like could be in a weak state because they're not. They have a player pool that's huge, but it could be a right moment for Grove. So this is an exciting matchup for me. It's obviously going to happen on Wednesday the 9th at 5 p.m., which is wild. 5 p.m.
It's not. I have more on that, but it likely, almost certainly, will not take place at 5. Probably later. Thinking 7, 8 p.m. TBD on the venue, but it will be Wednesday, but likely not at 5.
That's good to know. 7
Yeah,
o'clock, man. Everyone goes for that time slot.
yeah, 7 o'clock on Tuesday for sure. Wednesday TBD. Yeah, you mentioned a great segue into the Thursday Super League match, but even outside of that, we have a promotion match to talk about in a little while. Before we get into that, also you mentioned the UPSL, not Virginia Dream exiting an early exit from the National Cup run. Just want to take a moment to congratulate DC Hyper as the DMV North champions. Heavily Brazilian influenced DC Hyper doing it again. I mean, DC Hyper coming in hot and really making a name for themselves with a back-to-back DMV, DMV championships. Last season it was South. They moved to the North, did it again, and now they're beginning their National Cup run. Lynchburg in the South, they made their return to the UPSL DMV South. They knocked off VA Revolution in double overtime. Tragic for VA Revolution, who had just a historic run. Congratulations in their first Cup final in the UPSL DMV South. But congratulations to Lynchburg, who did it again at home. Those two sides will match up. Quick aside, just want to say if any side wants to hit us up, we're available, but we need time. Like any good team, preparation is key. You can't just agree to showing up to a match the next day, and we just needed some time, but we really want the opportunity because these are two huge clubs that deserve the recognition. And I
Yeah.
think, to be honest, their quality is disproportional to the recognition they have received. They deserve, maybe in this area specific, maybe Lynchburg does have that recognition in their area, and DC Hyper certainly in their circles, where they're, they have their fans. But I think in the DMV, they deserve to have a bigger name. We'd love to help with that. So anyone from either of those organizations or connected with, we'd love an opportunity, DMV Sports Media, to help broadcast that matchup or any of the national UPSL matches. But we'll leave that out there for those, the teams to figure out, and we'll move right along with the show. Thursday, I don't want to belabor it.
Wait. Hold on. Before you move forward. So,
Yeah.
if it wasn't clear, Noah is pretty much setting up the round of 32s for UPSL with Lynchburg and DC Hyper facing off in the DMV to move on to whoever moves on there would move on to the round of 16s, right? And then so forth. And going back to MPSL, the winner of these two teams will move on to that Mid Atlantic. When I say these two, the Ristosi, Alexandria Red, Virginia versus Grove. The winner here would move on to the final, but then eventually, whoever wins the final will move on into the. I think they're calling it the East. I want to say the East Regional playoffs or semifinals, I should say. So it's going to be four teams in the East Regional semifinals, which would include all the East regions. So Southeast, North, blase, blase. Uh, just putting that out there. Oh,
Look at
breaking
that.
news.
Real time news. Thanks for that update, by the way, Gio. That was glad you extrapolated and laid out the future. But we have an update on Wednesday's semifinal. Virginia Dream will be hosting 7 p.m. at Longbridge, right in Arlington. Beautiful venue. It's the home of what is that university? Marymount University. it's the Boeing complex, Longbridge. Great venue for hosting. Should be good weather. Come on out if you're in the area. But we will, of course, have that live for you at 7 p.m. Eastern time on DMV Sports Media. The Virginia Dream Grove semifinal. The finals, as Gio alluded to, in the Mid Atlantic will be Saturday. So I'll be lying.
That's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it is. It is, especially for Dream, who have another final on Thursday. But if any team can do it, it's Dream. They're used to. They've been playing 3 matches a week now for some time. They've got an insane player pool. They've got an insane level of fitness. The players that they have, even in their front, 11, and they're starting 11. So, yeah, they'll be okay, I think. But lots of matches here. And late in the season.
How exciting is it that we could potentially be watching Dreams take on Dreams or Ristosi or any of the 4 teams take on like a FC Motown or a Philadelphia Ukrainian, depending on how their playoffs go, right? That man, I freaking love
Dream are
national.
ready for their rematch with Motown. That was a hard fought match on the road. I haven't seen the regular season records for each of those sides, so who would host, but that was certainly a consideration for Dream. Dream closed out their season with a strong 6-0 performance against Virginia Beach City, so that bodes well for their goal differential for their standings. But yeah, they still got to get through 2 more matches. I'd be lying if I'm not hoping for a Virginia Dream Ristosi final, but they got to earn it. The best 2 teams will be there in the final on Saturday. Thanks again, CJ, for the real-time update, giving the fans what they need. And quickly,
shout out to our boy Random Ozzy.
Yeah, I hope that's you'll still be able to tune in on Random Aussie. I love your dedication to showing up at all times. He's in here on his lunch break sometimes tuned in at the beginning of the workday, middle of the night, whatever. That'll
Absolutely
be 9 a.m. for him. So Thursday,
yes.
Super Cup, Virginia Super Cup final, the much anticipated delayed match, Los Toros, Virginia Dream. We got to see all 2.5 minutes of that one before Lightning pushed us off and had the match rescheduled. Virginia Dream looking for their 5th playoff cup final and to represent Virginia against Steel Pulse. Another time, Los Toros looking to shake things up. They think and feel this is their year. Really, they have kind of shown signs that they're a team in growth, even though they got knocked out of the UPSL playoff circuit in their first season. They were right there with VA Revolution, a team that eventually knocked out Dream and advanced to double overtime with Lynchburg on the road. They were right there in it. So lots of quality there. And one of those sides will advance to take on Steel Pulse. You got any predictions? I know we've talked about this.
Man, I know we talked about it in depth last week, but it feels so long ago when we saw those 2 minutes of play where Los Toros started off so hot in those first 2 minutes. I mean, seeing Jackstone with them again kind of was very exciting to see how like they were on fire. But I mean, that's what been almost 7 days ago now, so it could be a completely different story. So I'm just excited. I'm just counting down till we get to Thursday, so we can see what these two sides do. And I'm not gonna do a prediction. I'm just gonna let
Yeah,
what is gonna happen to be happen.
yeah, fair enough. We've belabored this. Just tune in. You gotta. We're back on it. I know we've taken the weekend. We didn't have a lot of matches this past week, but come Tuesday, or even starting right now, we're here on the podcast. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just this week, clear your schedule. You can go out Friday night with your friends or take your wife out, but Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you'll be with us, DMV Sports Media, and then Saturday for the final. That's what you got. I mean, I know that's my schedule, so why don't you make it the
Well,
same?
then also Sunday, you have another
Sunday, that
final.
is a great segue. Baltimore City, where you at? Let us know if you're in here from Touch Kings, Baltimore City, or any interested parties, vested party. Would love to see who's here representing or looking for any predictions. We got the promotion match, a huge facet of the Super Soccer League in the Maryland side, an opportunity for one of two sides to earn their way into Division One, to join Slancha as the second promoted team from Division Two, after an exciting playoff run. Gio, walk us through the Baltimore City MSI match first, and I'll talk about the Etihad Touch Kings match, because that MSI Baltimore City match just had so much drama.
I mean, well, first, like I think it was like the first 45 minutes, it was just opportunities upon opportunities, right? But there was no just there's obviously this is a week ago now, but no side scored. All three goals came in the second half, right? MSI was the team that opened up the scoring, which
Mm-hmm.
you look at it and you're like, oh man, all right, this is gonna get technical because it's 45 minutes. Or no, at that point it was 35 minutes left in the game. Baltimore City then goes on to tie it from a um I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember who scored the goal, but I'll get that. They go to tie it, and then they get that worldy of a goal. It just
Special.
beautiful, beautiful goal with the left foot curving just outside the reach of the keeper, putting Baltimore City 2-1. And there was still plenty of time in the game, right? It wasn't like it happened in the last minutes. It was still like what, like 15 minutes of play still for MSI to do something. Go ahead.
Jordan Wicks.
John
No,
Jordan Wicks. Thank you.
Jordan Wicks scored that goal. Yeah. And welcome Marseille, representing Baltimore City. Marseille, big time player, came up through AFC Dobies. I believe Marseille, you a Loyola Blakefield Don under Coach Tashantret. I played for Loyola Blakefield back in the day, but I know Marseille is a player who gets it done. Found his way over to Baltimore City, and he'll be repping on Sunday to help his team work towards that promotion spot. Sorry,
Yeah, I
I
mean it
interrupted
was a
you.
great moment for Baltimore City. I mean, no, it's all good. It was just an exciting match, and it was a new side to both two new sides to Super Soccer League. So it was interesting. And Peter, we'll get to your question here in a second. Uh, here in a little bit about UPSL Midwest, but let us finish up with Super Soccer League, and then we'll get to it. Noah, do you want to kind of talk about Etihad, the part one and part two?
Yeah, I do. And actually, I'm my brain has wandered. There's some interesting teams that Peter's thrown out. I didn't know Detroit City had their second team in there. Anyways, yeah, Itty had Touch Kings. Touch Kings was the favorite coming into this, despite having some ups and downs throughout the season. Right, Touch Kings had a few matches that really made you scratch your head. Some score lines, they were blown out by Itty had, I think 10-1 in one match. And obviously there was,
Yeah.
they were missing quite a few players. And so there were some question marks there for them, but if they did finish up just behind Baltimore City on the standings. And so while you and I had mentioned, and a lot of people had really rightfully blown up MSI in the going into the playoffs, and there was some really high expectations. It's not like this is like some kind of surprise that we have Touch Kings and Baltimore City in the finals. I mean, these were the sides that had the highest, points outside of Slancha, of course. So it's only fair that they should meet in the final. But Touch Kings, to my understanding, they came out and were second best for the early parts. Itihad were on the front foot, but just could not capitalize. But once Touch Kings got their footing and found, a couple of classic goals, it was kind of smooth sailing for them. Then the Lightning came. We had to, reschedule the final 30 minutes of the game, and it was kind of a microcosm of that first part of the game in the second, right? It was a midweek. Teams had to come out after a few days after work, and Itihad was there an hour before warming up. They were a side that really was prepared. Touch Kings, they weren't able to make it out as early. They kind of showed up and just started playing, and they were not themselves. They were making turnovers. Itihad was able to press and almost were able to capitalize. They created some chances, but didn't find the back of the net. And Touch Kings, to their credit, found their way in. They were well coached, and once they found their rhythm, the match was kind of a foregone conclusion. Once they were able to maintain the possession, just force Itihad to run around and really pursue the game. Eventually, Itihad forced into a mistake, 3-0, and Touch Kings smooth sailing into the final against Baltimore City here this Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, Touch Kings, it was kind of the same on both games, right? Or both parts to the game. Uh where they started off really slow, man. They started off really slow, and then they dictated the rhythm of the game, and it was tough. It was a tough watch if you're an Etihad fan because you just got to see Etihad specifically on the first part of that game where they had opportunities. They had 4 1-on-1s with the keeper. We're
Mm.
talking about beautiful through balls, 1-on-1, and absolutely whiff some shots. Oh, that was gut wrenching if you're an Etihad fan. But if you're Touch Kings fan, you were absolutely living it up.
That's how it goes so often, right? You just see a side that they're dominant, they're creating chances, but they're not finishing. Maybe it's a psychological thing for the players on the field, but it's certainly, we've seen a lot of games. There's this like X factor, there's this force of nature, and anyone who's been involved with the game knows what I'm talking about, where you just feel this inevitability, like some crazy, I want to watch my language here, some crazy is about to happen that, the team that's on the back foot is going to score. And so often it's just a team that's creating chances missed and creating chances missing, or the goalkeeper's playing phenomenal. And then boom, it just turns the other way. And there was some extent of that in the Baltimore City MSI game.
Yeah.
MSI, they score the goal, they feel like this is it. But Lucas Mueller came up huge with so many saves, possibly man of the match in that game, according to myself and Mr. Matt Geyer. We're both incredibly, incredibly biased towards our goalkeeper brothers, but huge match, and that can be the difference. So lots to look forward to in the finals. I think it will come down to clinicality because obviously there's so much talent in both sides. I'm watching. Is Kevin Medrano going to show up for Touch Kings? He is such a difference maker. Um, who are the other players to watch out for you, Jim?
Well, I mean, Osorio for Touch Kings was really good. I mean, he created
Yes.
that assist that Kevin Medrano just tucked in away in the first goal. Those two were kind of the catalyst that really opened up Itty had. So I would say those two to watch out for. And then on the opposite side, I mean, Lucas Mueller, if he has another one of those games, I mean, I could easily see Touch Kings getting stressed out and then kind of falling apart, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Baltimore
And
City though, they're stacked too, man.
it's gonna come down to, right. Also, I mean, it's a promotion final, so you'd think that players would have their full sides, their full, reserve,
That's a great point.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm more confident in Baltimore City having the full bench there, having the full preparation. Touch Kings, they're too cool for school sometimes, and to their credit, they've got some of the most skilled players around, like Madrano, like Osorio, like several others, but they don't necessarily have this, attitude that they need to show up early and they need to bring all their players out for every game. So if it's a hot day, it is going to be during the sunlight hours of the day at 5 p.m. this Sunday at Milford Mill. I'm giving the advantage there to Baltimore City because they're well run, well managed, well coached. And the expectation is we're here. We've made it this far. We're going to show up and warm up. We're going to be prepared. There's no
Yeah.
excuse of traffic. We're going to be there with our best players, and we want to get promoted.
Yeah, yeah. So real quick, just want to point out to Peter's question. Who do we have for the Midwest Central? Wait, what do you think in the UPSL Midwest Central going after either Detroit City or Detroit City FC 2 or Detroit Union? So that's the final for the Midwest East, right? So whoever wins there will move on to face Chicago City FC, which Chicago City FC is a really good squad. I love their logo, by the way.
What about
Man, I
what
don't.
about the is it the Fire? Which one? Nation, Chicago Nation. Are they still in it?
Sorry, that's it. Chicago Nation. That's what I meant to say, not FC, not City. Chicago Nation is the one who won um, Midwest Central, and the matchup that Peter's talking about is Midwest East, and whoever wins here, whether it's Detroit City FC 2 or Detroit United, will move on to face Chicago Nation. Which, man, I would love to see a Detroit City FC
Detroit
2 versus
City.
a, a Chicago Nation. I think that would
This
be
is outside
such
our
a fun
wheelhouse.
matchup.
Peter, maybe you could help us with this. Yeah, give us your expectations because this is outside of our scope of knowledge and stuff. I'm just going to pick Detroit City because I recognize the name. I know it's their second team, but I'm not basing that off of anything I know. But feel free to let us know in the chat. We can learn something new. I'd be curious to know some more background on that.
Well, I mean,
Um,
there's a pretty good number of players that well, if you watch USL, whether it's two, USL one, USL no, not one, but mainly USL two and USL one, some players that have made their way sometimes on the UPSL rosters. I think Chicago Nation though, man. The only reason I know so much about Chicago Nation is because I have a few buddies of mine that play pickup with them. So they always point out who what players to watch out for. And sometimes I get to tune into Peter's streams whenever we are not streaming because Peter streams all Chicago Nation's matches. So I know a little bit about Chicago Nation, but Detroit City FC. I mean, if anything is good about that club, it's the scouting and the player development they have. I mean, from their indoor teams for the women's side, from all their outdoor teams. I mean, they have a really good scouting and player development over there. So it's definitely a match to watch out for.
yeah. Prediction for Sunday. For the promotion match. Give me a
Oh,
score prediction.
a score prediction? I can't just do a winner, man.
Nope.
Noah.
If you don't have if you're too afraid, I'll go first.
What you were gonna say if I don't have the cojones to do it? Were
Yes,
you
I was going to
really
say that
about to pull?
exactly that.
You were really about to pull that line on me? Of course I do. I would say um 3-2 City.
3-2 City. I was going 3-1 City. I do think I think Lucas is going to have a huge game, but I think Touch Kings have at least a goal. I think that they've got a goal in them, but I think Lucas Muller and that back line for City going to do a really good job, kind of mitigating that Touch Kings front line. But I think this is Baltimore City's day. I just get this feeling that they're really intent on getting promotion, and their side when they're fully committed to it, something like I trust in them. But prove me wrong, Touch Kings. Let's see. Let's see. I
No,
feel like
don't.
I've been egging on Touch Kings, and it's kind of what we did with Steel Pulse too, because like we know
Yeah, but
what their
Steel Pulse answered
capability
us.
is. Where I'm like, they ain't gonna do it. You're not gonna do it, Touch Kings. But I'm like, please do it. Do it. Bring it.
Oh my word.
Yeah,
But yeah,
we
that kind
got
of
one.
wraps up what this. Go ahead. I was just gonna say that wraps up what this week really holds. But there is one thing kind of starting off this weekend. Um, which we can't get too much into details, but no, you kind of want to lay the groundwork for what's happening.
Yeah, Summer Copa is upon us. It's actually right around the corner here on this coming Sunday, the 13th. Some teams may start slightly delayed on some midweek matchups. And the tournament came together late because of the late play of some of our competitions, the Super League, and a couple other teams playing late in their competitions. But we are going to be releasing uh, the groups and the schedules this week. Don't want to kind of predate that, so just stay tuned with on social media, Instagram. We'll also be posting on the DMV Summer Copa website. There's a gold and a silver. Gold has the 16 of the top teams from the top of each Division One conference: the American Premier League, the Super Soccer League Division One, and of course DC Premier League's top division. There will be a couple of guest clubs. Think the top level UPSL teams that'll be making an appearance as well. But it's going to be something to watch out for, and it's going to be an opportunity to see some matchups that you're not so familiar with. Like last season, we got to see Aegean Hawks and Steel Pulse. We got to see Los Toros and Orange, and we got to see, even in the silver, has some incredible competition. Baltimore City and Great Falls. Baltimore City advanced. They had a great matchup with North Stars. So we talk about both those sides, but like never in the same conversation. And it was cool to see, like, it's that old, like, what if, you're talking banter with a buddy, like, oh, what would happen if, this team played this team, and that's what we get to see. I know it's too early to discuss specifics of groups and announce the teams, but I think we could probably maybe give our favorites. I mean, there's some teams that are for sure contestants that
No,
it's not controversial to say Los Toros will be in. It's not controversial to say Orange will be in.
that's
It's
fair.
not controversial, to say that I don't know, like World Class or some of those sides, Yins United, Aegean Hawks will
Patuxent.
be there. You got a favorite?
Do I have a favorite? I don't have a favorite. I don't have a favorite. I'm gonna be
You could
super
say your
neutral.
favorite is a team that's a hidden entity that is going to be announced. But I'm for right now, just because they're like they were the incumbent. They haven't won the tournament, but they've always been there at the end. I'm going Los Toros. Los Toros, like, I feel like
You
this is their
homer.
time. Yeah, this is their time. They got in the finals. They lost to Orange in the first iteration. They were knocked out last season by Steel Pulse in a close, hard fought match. I believe it was Steel Pulse. Now I'm wondering if I'm thinking about the winter tournament. But in any case, Los Toros knocked out. Aegean Hawks won it. I think this is Los Toros' year.
Man, look, there's a few teams there that I'm really excited to watch. One that hasn't been announced yet. No teams have been announced really, but officially hasn't been announced. And then two, uh, Yins United is always such a fun watch for me. I don't know what it is about this team, but I really enjoy watching this team play. From long time to now, they're really fun team to watch. Also a G and Hawks, but yeah, man, stay tuned. We'll be posting stuff. Maybe there's going to be a video when the groups are final. Once all the I shouldn't say finalized. Once the teams are fully announced.
Yes, and if you're a player looking to trial with a new team, and you're like, oh, why is my team not a part of this? Feel free to reach out once the teams are announced. I'm sure some of these teams are looking to trial some new players. If you're a team that's like, dang, why did I not get an invite, or why did we not find out about this? Still, make sure to reach out on social media. Either you can reach out to any of the constituent leagues or to DMV Sports Media and the Super League. And even if it ends up being like this season it's not possible, we'd love to still get your contact. We'd love to still talk about it, figure out how we can continue to have the conversation, because we do want teams to be involved. And we don't want this to be, a gatekeeping kind of thing where teams are not brought into the fold. We're keeping teams out. We want everyone to come together. That's what the purpose of this tournament is for us to all work together. So if you're seeing this and you're thinking this is something that really appeals, reach out to us either on, email dmvsportsmedia@gmail.com, or reach out on social media as soon as possible. And we'd love to have a conversation and fill you in more.
When will groups come out? We're targeting Wednesday or Thursday. Can't be definite, but that's what we're targeting.
Is it that late?
I'm pretty sure it's that late because today's Monday. Ain't no way. First of all, I need to reach out to our designer.
Yes. Stay tuned this week. It could be Tuesday, could be Wednesday, could be Thursday. That's about as specific as we're going to get, Drew. Sorry. Yeah, it's been hectic with everything stacking up so late.
Yeah.
We're still playing our promotion match this Sunday, so we're probably going to have at least one or two of the fixtures delayed a little bit from this Sunday. We got the Super Cup Virginia final, and we still won't even play the Super Cup final until well into this tournament. So, we're doing the best we can. Obviously, nothing's ever going to be perfect in the amateur footy landscape when making these tournaments with,
multiple leagues,
contestants from all over, but we're working on it. Thank you for the patience, and we'll try to get that out as soon as we can, Drew.
All righty. Well, we're going to sign off here. If you are eager to watch some soccer, apparently Peter told us that Detroit City FC and Detroit United are playing right now. I don't know where, but hopefully you can find out. But we're signing off here. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, share this, and we will see you all next time.
Take care.